Hi and welcome to another Deggers video. However, this one's a little bit different. I am fishing today, but it's really cold and I'm not doing very well. And this video is nothing to do with today's fishing. This is a story about my PB, my barbel PB. Now, my desire to do this was really driven by watching Netflix, so Martin Bowler's channel. I watched Steve Baker, I think it is, land his 22 pound 3/8 new record, and then I watched Martin and Alan Blair at Gunthorpe weir, and Alan caught his PB at 17.8, and that sort of got me thinking. So my barbel PB was also caught at Gunthorpe weir. So this is going to be a story of my PB with a few photos and a few videos thrown in as well. So I started barbel fishing back in 2011. And like many barbel anglers, I admit not all, but like most barbel anglers, I was keen to progress my PB and ultimately catch a monster fish. Now for me, a monster barbel is like 18, 19, 20 pound, and I think most of us probably would like to catch a fish that big. Now initially I used to fish on my local river, on the River Anchor, and I remember when the record went and I knew the chap who caught it. It was 15 pound 14/8, and I knew pretty much where he caught it. So I got myself along there, got a ticket, fished the stretch for a little while, and though I didn't break the record, I did catch a few decent fish, this one being the best one. So that one was 13 pound 9/8, a really big fish for the River Anchor. I then joined the Barbel Society and got access to the tidal Trent and started fishing at Sutton. Now Sutton is a place where big fish have come from for many years and lots of people have caught a PB there. I spent a bit of time up there, and then one evening in the middle of a storm, actually, it was one of those named storms, I think it was Doreen or Dorothy or something like that. Anyway, it was a real bad storm, real terrible weather, and I only had one bite in the whole session, but that was from this fish. And that one was 15 pound 14/8, and that was my new PB at the time. I then went chasing big fish on the Derwents, but not really that successfully. I managed to catch fish up to about 15, but there used to be an 18 pound fish that frequented the area I was fishing down at Borrowash, but yeah, never managed to connect with that one. And then Gunthorpe became prominent with barbel fishing. There was lots of fish being caught, but not only lots of fish being caught from the weir, there were some really big fish being caught from the weir, and this caught my eye really. And though I was never obsessed with catching a massive fish, it was always prominent. I was always, you know, every now and then I'll be thinking about it. You know, I fished lots of sessions on rivers where I was never going to catch a PB or, you know, a particularly huge barbel, but it still was something I used to think about. And once I saw what was happening at Gunthorpe, I thought I'm gonna have to try and get a ticket there. So I got in touch, got my name down on the list. There was a waiting list. I'm a bit hazy on sort of how long it took. I don't know if it was 2 years, could have been 3, don't know. Anyway, 2 or 3 years later, I think it was February 2021, I finally got a call to say I'd reached the top of the list and was I interested in joining. After a few emails, I transferred the money and I got a ticket to Gunthorpe. Now the ticket was for June 21, 2021 through to March 2022. Now at the time, it's changed now, but at the time, once you got access to the stretch, you had access to the island, so that's where the weir is, and there's 3 pegs on the island then. There's one called the weir peg, where you could cast actually into the weir. There was one called the ladder, because there were some steps going down, and the last one was called the pontoon, because there was a pontoon there where boats could sort of moor up. And you had access to the whole stretch, the whole field below the weir. Now what you had to do to get on the weir is you had to ring up on a certain day, and they booked every session for the whole season in one day. So I think it was very early June, something like a Friday or Saturday, and you had to ring up and try and get through and speak to the secretary or the lady that was helping running the club, and you had to book the sessions that you wanted. Now you could only have 2 weekend sessions, and I think it was either 6 or 8 midweek sessions. Now I don't fish midweek, you know, I've got work, and to fish one night in the middle of the week you have to have 2 days off work, so I literally just booked 2 weekends. Now I didn't know that what everyone else was doing was having their 6 or 8 midweek sessions, and then they would swap them. So you might get people who are retired who want to fish in the week and would gladly give their weekend ticket away. I didn't know this, so I missed out big time there. So I just ended up with just the 2 sessions. So I had one in July and one in October. So the one in July, I went along and I was on the ladder peg. So this is the ladder peg. So this is my swim. As you can see, there's a weir there up to my right. Both my rods are fishing quite close in. Now you can't cast right into the weir from there. The session went okay. I managed, I think it was 3 or 4 barbel now and a couple of chub. This one being the best barbel. Right, well here it is. £12 11/8. Massive ice to 13 minutes to get in. Oh, what a tremendous creature that is. Huge fight in this big strong flow. Oh, right, we'll get it back in anyway. So that one was £12 11/8. So it was an okay session, caught some fish, but no real monsters. My next date was in October. Now prior to me fishing, a large branch had fallen from one of the trees, and I can't remember now whether it just missed a bivvy or hit a bivvy. I don't think anyone was hurt, but it was deemed to be unsafe and they needed to get some tree surgeons in, which was understandable. Now this coincided with my date, so essentially I lost the date on the weir. I did go along that evening actually and fish further down the stretch, but without any success. So that was it. I was gutted. I'd not taken up the midweek sessions. I'd only had the 2 weekend ones, and I'd lost the second one due to the damage on the tree. So yeah, really gutted. And one day, no, just after that, they announced that for the following season, the island, the Loch Island, was going to be a syndicate. Now the syndicate was going to be invitation only. I wasn't particularly well known to them and only just joined the club, and therefore wasn't expecting an invite, and understandably didn't get an invite. So that was it. I thought my chance had gone. I'm never actually going to fish the weir. I was talking to another angler, Steve, one day, having a bit of a moan about this, and he told me that he had a date March the 10th 2022, and he was actually on the weir peg, so the one where you can actually fish right into the weir. Now the club did allow you to have a guest on that peg, so Steve said I could guest and go along and fish with him, which was like super good and really nice of him to let me do that. Now I don't know, about 4 or 5 weeks before, Steve contacted me and said he was actually going to Spain. I thought, oh no, does that mean I've lost another chance? But thankfully not. Steve spoke to the club and gave his booking to me, so thankfully I could fish. So the date finally came round, March the 10th, I finally get to fish the weir. Now the fishing was 12 midday to 12 midday, so 24 hours. Now in the few weeks running up to me fishing, there'd been hardly any fish coming out at all. It had been very quiet on the weir. And when I arrived, the 2 other pegs on the island were empty. The chaps on there, I knew one of them actually had decided to go and fish elsewhere. So I had the whole place to myself. There was literally nobody else there. So I started off, I put an 8-ounce lead on one rod, put that right into the weir, and the other rod, I fished a couple of rod lengths off the wall. Now the weir's at a slight angle and the water comes over the weir and hits the wall of the island and flows along that wall, and it goes along there at quite a pace. So I put my left hand rod just past the fast water into slightly slower water with a piece of luncheon meat on. Now I had some advice on where to cast to in the weir. There was a pole or something to aim for, and it wasn't too bad there. So but even with 8 ounces I was struggling to hold, but nevertheless it was holding long enough. And I had I think it was an 18mm sauce boilie on that rod. So I starts fishing, and I will be casting one rod somewhere around here. It's difficult to hold. I'm going to have to use at least probably an 8-ounce lead, so it's heavy duty stuff. I've got my 2.5 pound test curve rods. That rod's out, so that one's just sort of down here somewhere where the water's a bit slower, not in this fast stuff, just sort of over here. And that one's got a piece of luncheon meat on. As I said, the other one will have a boilie and we'll go out into the weir. So we'll see how it goes. So I starts fishing. It's very noisy. It's hard to concentrate with the amount of noise from the weir, but I started fishing anyway, and it didn't take too long. About an hour after I started, a couple of pings on the rod, fish on. Now because you've got a weir, the fish can't run away from you with a screaming bite. What tends to happen, a few little pings and the fish come towards you away from the weir, so then the line sort of goes slack, so you don't get a tearing bite. And the other thing, it's really difficult to land the fish. So it's about a 10-foot drop from the top of the island down to the water. So you're holding your landing net like with sort of 11-12 foot of landing net, and as soon as you dip it into the fast water, it just takes it out your hand, and it's really difficult. The idea is you put your net flat against the wall, and once the fish is in the faster water, as it gets to your net, you turn your net so it opens, fish goes in. That's the theory. Anyway, I got the fish against the wall. As I turned the net, the fish bypassed it and went down below me. It was a nightmare then. I was trying to get this fish back up in the fast water. It turned out to be just over 10 pounds as well. But trying to pull it up in this water with the strength of the fish as well, it literally took me about 10 minutes to land this fish. It was an absolute nightmare. Anyway, got it in. I think it was £10 1 ounce. I'm definitely pulling hard, this fish. Wow. Come here. Oh no, come here. Jeez. Oh. It's pulling very hard. Very, very hard. I've done it. The fish is in the net. £10 1 ounce. First fish of the day, and a nice double to start with. I'm not sure if you can hear me on the video, but it's a good fish anyway. £10 1 ounce. Right, I'm going to get it back in. After that, all the other fish, I walked along the wall, past the other pegs and onto the pontoon and landed them there. Now it's definitely easier to land them on the pontoon, but not easy, because the fast water goes under the pontoon and the fish dive under there as well, and if they get too far under and round any of the stanchions, then yeah, you're going to lose them. So it's still not easy, but it's easier. Anyway, a couple of hours later, again the weir rod goes, and as I said, I walked it all the way down to the pontoon and managed to get it out. That one was £9.11, so not a bad fish, so good start. It then went dark, and not long after it went dark, it was about 6:45, I had the take. This is what it looked like. I think we might have, we got something on here. Let's have a look. think we have. As you can see, it was just a couple of bleeps and that's all it was. Now the fish started coming towards me. It felt heavy, but in that weir, with the strength of the water and the power of the fish, you can't really tell. You've also got all the noise as well, so it's really difficult to tell. We've got an 8-ounce lead as well, so even though it felt heavy, I had no idea what was on the end. I walked all the way along the wall, bringing the fish with me. Got down to the pontoon, snagged. Don't believe it. Do not believe it. So I walked back up the wall, got above the fish, managed to get it moving again. Yes, back down to the pontoon again. Eventually I got the fish in front of me. I could not lift this fish up. It was just too powerful, and every time I did manage to get anywhere near the surface, I didn't manage to get it in the net. Jeez, this is tough, really tough going. Where is that fish? Oh, where is it? Ah, there it is. There it is. Okay. Come on, Mr. Fish. Come on, Mr. Fish. Come on, Mr. Fish. Oh no. Jeez. Oh, for fuck's sake. Oh, he's in. He's in. Fucking hell. Oh, that is tough going to get the fish in here, but it looks like a decent fish, I think. As you can see, it was difficult. The line was straining, the rod was bent in, everything was like under full strain, and I was thinking any minute now it's just going to go ping. And as you can see, frustration, I was getting frustrated, you know, I was swearing. I don't normally swear in my videos, but on this one there is swearing. The swearing while I'm trying to land it, I think the swearing after I land it, and swearing when I show the fish to the camera as well. So if you don't like swearing, apologies. But it was so difficult. It was boring down underneath the pontoon. I couldn't get it up. I was getting tired, and as I said, getting frustrated, but eventually I did manage to land it. Now once I landed it, I was thinking it's a good fish. In fact, I said in commentary, it looks a good fish. I still had no idea the size of the fish at this point. After all that, it actually took over 10 minutes to land the fish. And I know it was over 10 minutes, not because I'm guessing, because I was videoing and I could see the length of the video. I left the fish in the net for a few minutes. Well, to be honest, I needed the rest more than the fish did probably. But I left it in the net for a few minutes. It was only when I went to lift it out the water to take it to the unhooking mat that it dawned upon me how heavy it was. I lifted it up and thought, wow, that feels really heavy. That feels heavier than anything I've ever lifted out, barbel wise anyway, before. Gets it over to the unhooking mat, puts it down, gets the scales, gets everything tared, lifts it up. No, it went past 19, but the fish was flicking, so I put it back down. Thought, is that right? Have I tared everything right? Double check it all. It's definitely tared, it's definitely 0. Lift again, past 19 again. No way. £19 2 ounces settled on. Talk about ecstatic. So happy. I could not believe it. I rested the fish. I put it back in the water actually and rested it for a bit because I wanted to get some photos and a video and everything else. But I was just in a tease, to be honest. It was so, I just couldn't get my head around the fact that how big it was. Eventually I calmed down enough to get a video and get some photos. This fish is the biggest barbel I have ever caught by a million miles. It's fucking huge. It's £19 2 ounce. Look at that. £19 2 ounce. Fucking hell. That is an absolute whopper. Unbelievable, Jeff. That's made my season. Oh, absolute whopper. Really big fat belly on it. Right, I'm going to have to get it back. I just want to keep sitting looking at it, but I've got to get it back. As you can see, it was a big fish. It was really fat, real big, sort of, not belly as in a carp, but just real thick, solid fish. I just, yeah, I didn't want to put it back. I said in the video, I don't want to put it back. I just want to keep looking at it, but obviously it had to go back. There she is, all fully rested, £19 2 ounce. Unbelievable, Jeff. Biggest fish I've ever caught by a mile. Oh, there she goes. Oh, I am absolutely over the moon. There you go, it swam off nice and strong, and it was definitely okay because it was caught again at the start of the next season in like 3 months' time, just over £20. It was a known fish. I think that's a bit of a double-edged sword, isn't it? It'd be lovely to catch a fish that's not known, but the fact it was known meant there was no real debate, the fact, you know, over the weight. It was known to be that sort of 18, 19, 20 pound sort of weight, so there's no real argument over that, which I guess is a blessing. It wasn't one of those you're going to put on Facebook and everyone's going to go, oh, that's £12. So yeah, fish went back, really happy, and I was just in shock. I sat in my bivvy and I messaged a few people. I actually messaged Steve, who was in Spain, and you know, I sent him a picture and he said it's one of the known fish. Now normally when I'm fishing I ring my wife about 6-7 o'clock just to check in, and I'd already done that earlier, and then I rang my wife and she was like, what's wrong, why are you ringing me? I was like, £19 2 ounce. She's like, I'm sure some of you have had this sort of go, is that good, dear? Is that good? Yeah, amazing. So yeah, she didn't really get it, but was pleased for me because she could tell how sort of excited and happy I was. And even after that, after I'd messaged some people and made some phone calls, I still didn't put the rod back in for a while. I just sat in my bivvy. I was just like in shock. I just couldn't believe that I caught it. Eventually I did cast back in, and I had another, I think the next fish was £7, which looked tiny having held the 19. I then had another decent fish at 12, then another one at 7, and eventually 7, and eventually it got to about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I did something I don't normally do. I wound my rods in and stopped fishing and went to sleep. The reason I did that is because the 8 ounce lead was struggling to hold, so I was having to recast that every 45 minutes to an hour. And because the bites weren't screamers, just a few little pings, I thought if I drop off, even with the alarm on, the fish could go all the way down the weir and be down by the pontoon before it actually starts to really sound. So I thought, I was so ecstatic at having caught the fish that I just wound in and went to sleep. The next morning I did cast back out again, and I had another decent fish, this one at £13. And then when I finished, I actually went up to the Barbel Society water at Normanton and fished up there, and took about it down to earth. I'd had a brilliant session on there. What was it, 6-7 barbel, and obviously some big ones as well. Went up to Normanton and had one small barbel over there. The weather was horrible, but so that was it. That was my story of my PB. It still is, you know, very fresh in my memory, and not sure it's a fish I'll ever beat. And to be honest, after that I really didn't think about catching a monster anymore. It's like the quest is done. So yeah, don't really spend a lot of time thinking too much now about catching the big one. Of course it would be great to catch another one, but yeah, if I never catch a fish bigger than that one, then I'll still be a happy man. Hope you enjoyed it. Cheers.